In 2013, I was working part-time at Michael's, making just above minimum wage. Today, I work as a teller lead at one of the largest banks in America. And no, it didn't start with money. It started with rewiring my mind. Welcome back to my channel. I am Naila, and on this channel, we talk about spirituality, become the greatest versions of ourselves, manifesting abundance, freedom, and prosperity, along with wealth and generational wealth, and creating the lifestyle of our dreams. If you can vibe with that message, be sure to hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. And let's dive into today's topic. Today I am talking about how I rewired my mind to 5x my income. How I went from working just above minimum wage as a cashier to becoming a banking leader. So in 2013, I was in my early 20s and I was working part-time as a cashier at Michael's Arts and Crafts store, making just above minimum wage. Up until that point, I had only had part-time jobs. I did have one, I would say, venture where I was doing door-to-door sales before then, but up until that point, job-wise, I had only worked part-time and was only making like around the minimum wage pay or salary. And I was just coming into, having knowledge of self and having a spiritual awakening, realizing that, there is more out there for us. There is, more to life than what we had been accustomed to having, such as, working really hard for money and struggling to pay bills. That is the type of environment that I grew up in, where, I watched my mom work 40 hours a week, barely able to make ends meet, right? And so up until that point, that's what I thought, life was. And then I began to have a spiritual awakening, and I began to realize that I can have more. I've always known I can have more, but it never really seemed possible. But when I began to become more aware, I realized that it is possible. I can have this, it is available to me. It is ready and available to me right now. So I was learning these things about how our mind creates our reality, about how our subconscious mind is basically running the show. Our subconscious mind is responsible for 80% of what we experience in our day-to-day lives. So what we were taught growing up, what we believe, our belief systems, that is the life we would experience. So if we believe that, we are meant to struggle, or we are meant to live in lack, or, people who look like us don't become wealthy, if we believe those things, then that's the life that we will live. That's the life we will create for ourselves. So since I was learning these things, I was beginning to put them into practice. So one of the first things that I, one of the first tools that I adopted was saying affirmations, because I realized how powerful the spoken word is. In the Bible, it says, in the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So that tells us a bit how powerful the Word is. It also says that your word will not return to you void. So that's why I gravitated towards affirmations. So that's one of the things that I started to incorporate, just in my life, in my daily practice, was saying affirmations to myself. Like, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am abundant, I am prosperous, I can do anything, I am worthy, I can have all the good that I desire. I begin to speak more positively to myself and begin to become more aware of the thoughts that I was having in my mind. And if I caught myself, thinking negative, or, when you get weary, when you get tired of, being in the same predicament, or still having to go to a job on a daily basis, even though you really don't want to be there, right? You start to get negative in your mind, like, this ain't working, but you have to learn how to not focus on what the 3D is presenting currently, because this is just old news, right? What you're currently experiencing is what you've created up until now. So how you've been thinking, what you've been believing, that's what you've created up until this point. So in order to create a better future or better circumstances, then we have to begin to think differently, speak differently, be different, work on becoming better versions of ourselves and making better choices and decisions each day, even though it may not be easy to make better decisions. But each day you work towards making those, better choices and thinking those better thoughts and making better habits for yourself. So I was beginning to put those things into practice, right? So fast forward to today, I am a teller lead at one of the largest banks in America, and I've been able to 5x my income from back then working as a cashier. So no, I did not jump from being a cashier straight to being a teller lead, right? There was a process, and I had to trust that process. And there were times where I grew weary, but I stayed focused. If I slipped and let myself slipping back into negative thoughts, I once I catch myself, then I train myself to focus more on positive thoughts and saying more positive things and making more positive choices, right? So, I've always wanted to be in the banking industry for some reason. Like, as far as being a cashier, I love the cash handling part of that job, but I always saw myself in banking or being a bank teller, right? And I've always tried, I applied, even around that time when I was, a cashier at Michael's, and I used to get turned down. I even had someone tell me that, they didn't see me as a good fit for this job, right? They didn't, see me, in that, see me as capable, basically. They didn't see me as a good fit, like I wasn't right for that position. They told me that, right? But do you think that made me quit? Do you think that made me stop trying to become, a teller, at a bank? No, it didn't. So eventually, like over the years, I worked at Michael's for a span of 4 years. And there was a period of time where I stopped working there because I was staying home with my daughter. She's 11 now, but at the time she was much younger. And I did end up going back. When I went back, started back out as a cashier, but I had already had, longevity. I had built up longevity with the company because I was there for a couple of years before I left, and my manager could already see my work ethic, so a position came open for a manager. So I ended up getting the customer experience manager position at Michael's, and I was only there. I only had that position for about 9 months to a year before opportunity opened up to where I was able to go work at a bank finally. And so the doors opened for that, and I've been in banking ever since. So I'm going on my 5th year at the company that I was hired with. So things are going pretty well. I started out as a teller, and then recently I was promoted to the teller lead. So I say all that to say that when you work on your mindset, when you stay focused, when you think positively, you work on your self-identity. That's another thing, working on your self-identity, seeing yourself as someone who can have that position, seeing yourself as someone who is wealthy, right? We have to work on our self-identity and see ourselves as the version of ourselves that we want to be. But I said all that to say that there's progress, right? There's continued progress. No, it's not easy. It can be easy. It's all about how you look at it, right? It's all about whether you choose to allow the challenges to, deter you or, get you down, or if you choose to let the challenges, make you better, make you stronger, make you grow. It's about how you look at it. It's about how you perceive it, whether you choose to struggle in it or whether you choose to allow it to make you stronger and wiser. So you have to trust the process because it is a process. So now this is not, I'm not saying that I made it, because I definitely ain't made it to where I want to be, because my ultimate goal is freedom. My ultimate goal is abundance, generational wealth, prosperity. And my next level, what I'm working towards, is to fire my boss, to be free from a 9-to-5, and to have passive income. So being able to make money in my sleep, being able to create something once and then it still pays me time after time after time after time, right? So that's what I'm working towards now. And I've already started making steps to get in there. I'm already starting to make steps to align me with that particular frequency. See my baby girl, she's a mama's girl. I've already started making steps to aligning me with that reality, right? So one of the things that helped me along my journey is learning about the cash flow quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. With the cash flow quadrant, there are 4 sections. So on the left-hand side, you have employee in the top left quadrant. Beneath it, you have self-employed. And then on the right-hand side of the quadrant, you have B for business owner. And then you have I for investor. So on the left-hand side of the quadrant, people work a job or they own a job, and their money is tied to time and how much hours they put in. On the right-hand side of the quadrant, money is working for you. You either are leveraging people or you're leveraging money. With the business, you're leveraging people. You have a team who helps your business function. You are serving people. Your business makes money. With investors, you are investing money to make more money, and you're able to make passive income, and you can make money while you are sleeping, while you're playing, having family time, while you're on vacation, while you're creating other businesses, while you are, relaxing, getting a massage, anything, right? Eating. Money is just coming in while you are living your life because you have passive income, right? You don't have to worry about this money. You don't have to go clock into a job. You don't have to work a 9 to 5 for this money to come in. You don't have to trade your time for dollars. So the goal is to get to the right side of the quadrant where the business owners and the investors are, and get away from the left side of the quadrant. So even though I'm not totally off the left side of the quadrant, I'm utilizing my job to get me over to the right side of the quadrant, right? So I've already started, investing my money to earn more passive income, right? So I've started investing in stocks. I've started learning about other strategies that can, pay me, such as options trading, right? And I have a mentor who was able to retire herself from her 9 to 5 at the age of 24 with the strategy that I'm learning from her. So I'm very excited about that. So since I've already started learning these things and taking action on these things, now it's on me to be patient, allow the seeds to germinate, right? And allow it to compound, right? Allow it to compound and grow. Albert Einstein said that compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Those who don't understand it pay it, and those who understand it earn it. Something like that. I might have messed that up a little bit, but the point is learning about compound interest, allowing things to compound over time. It may start small. Your investment may start small, or your business may start off small, or you may start off as your channel may start off small, but the more you work at it, the more you put energy into it, or if it's with investments, the more money you put into it, or over time, as you grow and invest more and more, little by little, then it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. It compounds. So right now, the goal is to remain. So right now, the goal is to remain disciplined and let it compound. So I'm no longer the young lady that I was back in 2010, 2011, 2012, where I was extremely lost, confused, feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, feeling overworked, underpaid, right? Now that I, was able to learn from some of my, past mistakes and some of the things that I went through, and I have had an awakening, and I'm starting to implement and embody the things that I'm learning. I changed, right? I'm no longer that same person that I was about a decade ago. I would say that now I think differently, I speak differently, I breathe differently, I even eat differently, right? To become better versions of ourselves, we can't stay the same. We have to evolve, we have to change, right? We have to grow, we have to make better decisions. When you know better, you do better. So when I say I think different, as I was mentioning earlier, one of the first tools that I adopted when it came to my spiritual awakening and, healing myself and reprogramming my brain was affirmations. So that's the speaking differently, but also saying them in my mind. So realizing, when I'm thinking a negative thought, stopping that thought in its tracks and changing it to a positive thought. That's how you rewire your brain and rewire your neural pathways. When you realize that you're thinking negatively or you're slipping on a negative path mentally, when you catch yourself, start to say the affirmations to yourself inside your mind. That's one of the things that's been helping me, and and how I can see the proof, in my own life that the thing that it is actually helping, right? I'm growing, I'm developing, I'm reaching goals, I'm achieving the things that I set out to achieve. So the all is mine. I touched it on this in my last video, that the all is mine. That's one of the 7 hermetic principles. It's the law of mentalism. So we live in a mental universe. So reprogramming our mind is, very important. So I think differently. Also, I speak differently. As I was saying, I say affirmations. So when I'm waking up in the morning, I'm speaking these things to myself. Mostly saying them in my mind though, because I'm tired in the morning. I don't really feel like talking, but say them out loud. Also, this is also a form of prayer. Rather than the prayer that we're used to doing, where we're begging and pleading. Why not affirm? That we already have this, because it's already within us. It is already ours. It is mine. I am abundance. I am abundance. And another thing is I breathe different. So before learning about these things, I thought, breathing and meditation and things of that nature was weird, but really it's a science to all of this. It helps improve you spiritually and physically, right? It helps when you breathe, take deep breaths. You are connecting with spirit. You are connecting with the divine, because your divine is your spirit. Your breath is spirit. So when we take time to breathe and clear our minds and get in tune, we align with the divine within us. So So breathing connects you with source, and it gives you clarity when it's paired with quieting the mind. So those are the 3 things that I recommend, incorporating into your daily lifestyle. Thinking differently, speaking differently, and breathing differently. Learn to take deep breaths. Take time out your day to actually meditate and just focus on your breathing, especially in the morning time or in the middle of the day. Like, let's say you're stressed and overwhelmed, take time to just breathe. Do a quick 4-second inhale and 6-second exhale, and that will help you to have, relax a little bit and have a little bit more peace and bring a little bit more clarity to your mind. So that's my quick level up story. And if you are someone who is like me, you're wanting to, have more and achieve more out of life, you are a go-getter, but you still feel kind of like stuck, or like, there's something that's not clicking, and it shouldn't be as hard as it is to reach your dreams and achieve your goals, then I recommend you get my course, Worthy of Wealth. This course was designed for women who are ambitious, who want to live a life of abundance and freedom and have big dreams, goals, and aspirations. And they know how to work hard, but they know that it shouldn't have to be so hard. Like, there's a missing piece to the puzzle, and that missing piece could be your mindset, right? It could be the way that you are thinking, about life and your outlook on life, because our mind creates our reality, the subconscious mind. So in my course, Worthy of Wealth, I'm talking about how you can reprogram your subconscious mind to attract more abundance, create wealth, and have more freedom in your everyday life. So go ahead and get that down in the description box below. Also, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more content, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, love, and vibe high. Talk to you soon.
All my queens in the building, let your crown fly. Melanated and in power, watch it gotta slide. All my queens in the building, let your crown fly. Third eye open, we are chosen, I share when I rise. All my queens in the building, let your crown fly. CBE, we a movement, crown, hold it high. All my queens in the building, let your crown fly. Look in the mirror, lay yourself, girl, I vibe high. I said this life is a test, get my best, nothing